Awesome. Welcome everyone to the Remote Therapy Summit. If you've thought about integrating nutrition into your practice, or if you don't own a practice and you're just an inspiring healthcare entrepreneur and you want to broaden your horizon with potentially bringing nutrition onto the plate that you offer, then join us as we interview Austin Nguyen. He's a physical therapist and a registered dietitian, and he is blowing up on Instagram. So he's going to teach us all about just a variety of things about how to incorporate nutrition into your practice and patient care. Welcome, Austin.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me on here.
I'm excited to sort of dive into nutrition because I feel, and by the way, everyone, my name is Dr. Emma Shapiro. I run Debt Free PT, which is a comprehensive job board that helps people pay off their loans by basically providing them not only high-paying jobs, but also we're sort of giving back through that job portal and giving that money back into student debt payoffs and student debt scholarships, which is really cool. And I also run the Alternative Healthcare Careers with Dr. Mike Chua. But for me, as a physical therapist, I always want to talk about nutrition. And I do talk a little bit about nutrition with my patients. But I think maybe the first thing we should dive into, Austin, is can we even, as therapists, bring up nutrition concepts into our patient care?
Yeah, so regarding, that question, I definitely believe, PT should bring it up. And it's a topic to talk about on, how it's important that people put the right foods and things into their body. But there's definitely, in, my opinion, a line where it's drawn where you could overstep the boundaries within your scope of practice. So just like with other kind of professions. So that's kind of my approach, but definitely, if especially if you have a lot of clients who are having trouble with their nutrition, they're overweight, they're maybe not healing as fast as they should, it's something to kind of talk about. And I've talked about this many times on ways where you could have that conversation without really just overstepping the boundaries and diving into the nitty gritty of everything.
Cool. Well, if you mind, let's take a quick moment actually and maybe really briefly describe that, because some people may be meeting the awesome Austin Nguyen for the first time. And so can you really fast sort of go through like what would be a type of conversation, or how would you broach that type of conversation?
Yeah, so since I'm like both a registered dietitian and a physical therapist, kind of, when I've had those conversations, it's just like, okay, all open floor, right? But as me, if I was just a PT, certain type of things I kind of talked about was like, well, do you need help with your nutrition, right? And if they say yes, right? And so depending is like what they need help with. Is it basic stuff? Like, are they eating out a lot, eating a lot of fast food, eating a lot of junk food, hardly, getting any whole foods at home, not really cooking, things like that. Well, simple tips as like, hey, well, let's try to probably prep some food during the week and have an idea of what things you'll eat beforehand. So you're just not scrambling for food and deciding where you're going to eat, like, on the fly every single day. And of course there's no plan, right? Or like if they're eating a lot of fried food and things like that, simple tips is in terms of like, hey, cooking methods of like baking, broiling, having more steamed vegetables and things like that, like certain tips, or not having as much soda, processed foods, right? Those are all kind of very general. And it all depends on the context of conversation. But it's not like I'll be having conversations of like, oh, here, let me check your kind
Blood
of
sugar, calorie counts.
Yeah.
So basically, I think what I'm getting at is I think the big divider would be if you start diving into like numbers and really specifics and really detailed things, that's for the registered dietitian. But if it's just like, hey, we all know don't eat those potato chips. We all know you need to have, multiple small meals in a day. Those type of basic things, we're okay doing that.
Yeah, like drink enough water, right? Like,
yeah,
like simple. I've had so many simple conversations as that. Is like the older folks, they forget to drink water and like, oh, I never get thirsty. Like, hey, just remember, you gotta drink some more water, keep yourself hydrated. Like simple stuff. Yeah, but I wouldn't do anything in terms of, let me look through your medications,
Gotcha.
work out some numbers for you, and like devise a whole type of meal plan, and like all of that, and that takes a lot of time anyway too. And so, I mean, you'd be pretty, like good if you had that time in the clinic to do all of that anyway.
Awesome. Well, good. I think I just wanted us to all get on the right foot with knowing, those barriers, because we do want to protect our licenses, whether you're a PT, OT, or speech therapist. And really OTs can talk about this as well. Speech therapists can talk about it because we all sort of know basic nutrition. We're healthcare professionals. So let's dive in now a little bit deeper. Now, say someone wanted to go a little bit further with their nutrition, adding it more, because that basic nutrition may not be enough to really start a remote career or really add on to the remote careers like what we're talking about. So what's the next step? Would getting something from like a personal training site like I can never say it, NASM, is that enough to start a further conversation, or is that really still limited in scope?
So in my opinion, since like I'm RD and a PT, like it all, I guess, really depends too on the type of clientele that you're serving, right? So if a personal trainer came to me and come to me trying to give like another analogy is like, hey, like what could I do to kind of give rehab advice, right? And he's like, me, I'm like, hey, go be a PT, right? And they have certain things that they could do within their field, right? If like, hey, okay, go exercise, strengthen your quads, or kind of move more, right? Don't sit down so much. But if someone has pain, I wouldn't tell them, hey, you should go get this certification so you could be like a musculoskeletal therapist and give rehab advice on the pain that you're having and how to go about it. I would be like, hey, just go be a PT, right? But if the person is healthy, normal, nothing going on, yeah, you're free to give any type of advice like that you want. But it would be dangerous, in my opinion, if someone had a certain injury for a trainer just to give sort of rehab advice. But even though we kind of see it all the time, right? So, and the same thing for nutrition, if your clientele was, say, the young, healthy athlete or something like that, and nothing could possibly like go wrong, no comorbidities or anything like that, like, yeah, there's certain certifications like sports nutrition certifications and things where you could give advice on and things to help them improve performance and their health and overall. But if they're kind of the typical, patient, say maybe overweight, PT, patient, and they have other comorbidities, they have like back pain, knee pain, and they're on medications or whatever, then that would be like, okay, that might be crossing the line in terms of, hey, let me help you with your nutrition, like based on your medical history, right? Yeah. So if they're completely fine and nothing going on, then I'd be like, yeah, like here, there's a NASM. Like I got my first personal training certification maybe 2009, the ACE, and like was some nutrition in there. And I did help people with general things, but I never went to the extent of like, hey, let me kind of go through your medical history and kind of see what we could devise a plan and all of that. So that's my long way of explaining, if you want to kind of go that route, my opinion would be like, okay, well, go and be like an RD, so you could go and do that. If you have clientele who's a young, average person, healthy, then you don't need to go to that extent. Like, you know what I mean? So
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And everyone who's listening, we're going to be slowly peeling away more and more onions. So right now we're just covering all those logistics. And then Austin's going to share how we can really incorporate nutrition within our different scopes. Because for, people listening, maybe all different types of scopes. So I want to try to cover my bases before we dive into doing this as sort of a remote practice. One more question for you, Austin, is, for people who maybe want to do registered dietitian, can you really, really quickly, briefly go through that process? If I'm already out of school, because I know it's a little bit easier in school than out of school, but if I'm already graduating out of school, how do I quickly become an RD?
Well, the only process that I know is, you have to get your degree in dietetics and nutrition. And right now, at this point, I don't think the new law or kind of rule kind of set in place, which is you have to get your master's degree. I know it's coming up soon, but you could do it with your bachelor's degree in dietetics and nutrition alone. And then from there, basically, you have to get into an internship. where just like in PT, like we had to do a whole bunch of hours of clinical rotations. And so basically you do like 1,200 hours of clinical rotations once you get in. And it's it's a competitive internship and things like that. You go through a process, but once you do that, you do different type of rotations, you get your experience, and which is about a year long, it's about 1,200 hours. And then you take your boards exam, you sit for it, you pass it, boom, then you get your RD. And then you obviously be licensed in whichever state you practice in.
Okay.
And so that's the route I went. So I was RD before I became a PT, and that's exactly what I did. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, there you go, folks. If you want to be like Austin and be an RD and really really RD gives you the most freedom. Like I don't think you could be doing a lot that you do right now, Austin, with your nutrition consulting if you weren't an RD. Right? It gives you that much freedom. So if people really, really are passionate, would that be a recommendation? Like if people are like, I'm gung-ho nutrition, I need it. Would that be a recommendation to be an RD, or maybe even, I guess, just easier? Partner with an RD, partner with a registered dietitian?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I mean, when I've had those questions asked, like when people ask me those questions, right? And so at the end of the day, me looking back, I was like, well, what's your ultimate goal? Like, what is it that you really want to do? Right. And for those who are all gung-ho nutrition, want to learn more and do that, then like, yeah, by all means, if that's your passion, you want to kind of work in the field and use those skill sets and stuff like that, then go for it. But if your like ultimate goal and agenda is like, hey, I want to run a business to be able to help people with nutrition and PT, whether or not you are physically doing the work. Because what I came to realize, like, in the beginning, I was like, yeah, I want to help people, right? Natural ways through like nutrition, through PT. And so I went that route. I could have easily just stayed a trainer and just kind of help people out that way, right? But that was my goal. I wanted to do that. And as time passed by, I realized, no, I just wanted to help people in those ways. And I don't necessarily have to do all of it, because going through that and having that experience, I was like, I'm only one person. And even though I have knowledge, I can't help as many people as I would like, me being one person. So for me to ultimately like give people the outcome that I want, which is help them naturally through nutrition and PT, there's a way better like route to take or kind of do or create, which is like, hey, like instead of me trying to learn all those skill sets by myself, why don't I partner up with people who already have those skill sets or already created things that I don't have, and we could collaborate and kind of work out a system kind of that way. And so, that it took me a long time to kind of realize that. But when I have those conversations and the person's like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to maybe own a practice or own a clinic. I want to help people like these ways. We're like, hey, well, this is the fastest way to kind of do it. I mean, you being one person versus like a whole group or a whole pack of people, like who could help more people, like you or them,
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I think that's so valuable, not just in the nutrition scope, but for any of you watching, the summit, we're going to talk a lot about entrepreneurism. And I think the hardest thing as a newbie entrepreneur, and I'm totally being a hypocrite because I want to wear all the hats. I am cheap. I want to try to do it all myself. And that's why you see these bags underneath my eyes. It's really, 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 really hard. So I think that's so smart, Austin. And especially for people listening who already have a clinic, this is ultimate scalability. And so I think that's way smarter. Instead of spending a year and all that money, just partner with a dietitian, and there you go. I think that's really good. And then you have two brains instead of one. And so I agree 100% with that. Well, let's really now dive into the good stuff that everyone wanted to listen to, is how we can incorporate nutrition into our practices. I think to do that first, Austin, should we talk a little bit about what exactly you do, your physical therapy clinic and practice?
Yeah, so I'll tell you guys kind of my plan of what I have set up and what I'm doing to collaborate with certain PTs and clinics, which I feel is probably the easiest way, because it really doesn't require much time like on your hands. And so that's why I feel it's easiest way to kind of integrate. And so for those who want to incorporate nutrition into like their practice, like, well, I have a setup where basically for any patients, any clients who need help with their nutrition, could be referred over to me, my site, or the space of that I have connected with your practice or your business. And basically for any client who gets referred over to us dietitians will give them a free nutrition consultation to see what they need help with. And if they want to sign up to any of our nutrition programs, they can. And since you will be like a preferred partner of my company, Winning Wellness, then we could kind of have like a setup of some sort of like affiliate deal going on. Yeah. And this all depends on what type of practice you are or what kind of PT or OT. Some PTs or OTs are like solo practitioners and they work on a cash basis. So I had a friend the other day sell one of his premium PT packages that included my 12-week nutrition program. So basically he was able to add more value into his service, which didn't change at all, but add more things into there, including my nutrition course, one-on-one nutrition coaching. The client gets an app and all of that, and he didn't need to create anything at all. But basically it like makes it a more well-rounded service. And he's like, all right, boom. Basically he got the nutrition component in there, paid me for my services, and that was it. And so again, like hands kind of free. He's like, hey, like I had this thing created, and if it was an ACL patient for like a 6-month program. And so basically like, you know, after that, the surgery and all of that, like they'll need more help than PT. They can accelerate their recovery like with nutrition. And so he didn't have to worry about any of the nutrition parts. And he included that into his kind of practice, right? And so that's one of the ways. The other, I have kind of different routes and it all depends on the client. If there's someone who needs more support, more hand-holding, more coaching, yeah, then I have my one-on-one nutrition coaching programs available where we could kind of do that. And it's easier to scale, right? If you have a lot of people in your clinic or a lot of clients, for us to kind of help them out versus you being one person, which is what I tried in the clinic I first started to work at. The other route is if they don't need so much of the help and they're good, you know, they just need more information on kind of what things to do and they'll kind of do on their own. Well, I have my self-paced nutrition course that they can kind of go through, and PTs could become affiliate for that. And right now, currently, basically, I have a setup where if they offer my nutrition course to any of their clients, right, and if they're a good fit, obviously, they could get 50% of the profits. And basically, you don't have to do any work, and you just kind of recommend, you know, something that could help them.
Yeah, you're still able to provide the nutrition, but you're not having to use your own bandwidth for that, and you're doing nutrition on your side.
Yeah. You don't need to use your time, your bandwidth, and all of that. You could just focus on what you do, you know, which is PT, and you can help them in the clinic, and basically we can help them with nutrition when they're outside the clinic. So like what's going on in this time right now is like, well, no one's in like this would be perfect for, you know, other PTs and clinics who I've already collaborated with. Basically, like right now, no one is able to kind of go into clinics. And after kind of setting this relationship, we can help them outside the clinic. So basically right now, one thing I'm rolling out, this thing I didn't mention, but another way for us to be able to help your clients is through my nutrition challenges. So we have a nutrition challenge coming up, and basically we're gonna do a 3-week free nutrition challenge throughout this time, kind of help people kind of get through what's going on right now, right? And this pandemic and stuff like that. They could get help. PTs, everyone, they don't need to worry about a thing. They could just refer people in and we'll help them as much as we can. And at the end, if the people did want additional help and support, they're more than welcome to do that. They can sign up to one of our programs. And for doing that, again, if you're partnered with me, then we could kind of have some sort of deal going on where, you know, you could also get a referral bonus, something, right? And so these are some things I've kind of worked out with other PTs where it's like, okay, they have so many other things going on and thinking about for their business with PT alone that like they can't imagine trying to just like start a whole new entity and entire business and all that stuff because it takes a lot of time.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, there are so many clinics where, you know, there's very little time. I mean, we're already having to see so many people to try to keep up with maintaining, you know, reimbursements. And so adding this factor, it's just too tough. And sometimes we can't even, you know, add another employee that is just a dietitian. So it's like you're able to give them that information without having to cost any overhead. And even on the other side, maybe make the clinic some money as well.
Yeah.
So I know, I think that that's very creative, and I like how you have those different sort of models. You've got the courses. So when everyone's thinking about like the remote career, Austin has courses. And so courses just, self-paced, very scalable, very, very simple to create. And it's something that a lot of people still really enjoy. But I really think it's important, which is something that he's doing really well, is partnering with one-on-one coaching, because a lot of people need that accountability, whether it's in entrepreneurship, marketing, business, healthcare. Everyone needs that accountability, and everyone's going to have those extra questions. So that's awesome, Austin. Good job. I like the whole model and everything like that.
Thank you.
How are the I bet some people are wondering about maybe the one-on-one coaching. So how are you, structuring your one-on-one coachings in case some people are have questions on that?
Yeah, good question. So basically, I have different packages available, and it's all based off what the client needs, right? And so it could be something 3 months, 6 months, like 9 months, 12 months for like a whole year. And so it's not like we're going to offer every single option and possibility that we have, but it's based off the consultation from what they say they really need help with, right? And so say, for example, they wanted to lose, the 15 to like 20 pounds or something, and that's their goal. They want to accelerate their recovery from PT, feel a little better, and things like that. I want to, get a good head start in changing some of their habits. I wouldn't say, all right, here, like 1 month this is, your thing. But I'm like, hey, the best thing that we could do and maybe start off with is like our 12-week nutrition coaching program. And so basically what that involves is like the first thing we do, just like in PT, we have initial eval, but for our side, we'll have a whole nutrition assessment. And so basically see where they're at, kind of go through their food history, like medical history, just kind of eating patterns, eating behaviors, kind of medications, all of that, see what foods they like, kind of dislike, go through like some sort of like food journal, right? We call it 24-hour recall. So it takes about 45 minutes to an hour to kind of have a baseline. And then, so from there, basically the dietitian will kind of create a plan of like, okay, well, what things should we do to kind of help you reach your goals and like move forward? And so they'll kind of work on a plan. And my way of kind of doing things is like more of the non-diet approach, because I feel that for people to succeed long-term and get permanent, long-lasting changes, the best way is for them to kind of learn like how to eat instead of just go one particular diet. Because what happens most times is that people will go on this diet, get those short-term results, get off the diet, and then just like gain everything back from, from before and more. And so basically like we kind of tell them our kind of way, our approach. They'll get access to a dietitian, they can kind of have email access, have questions. They'll have bi-weekly coaching calls, which are half an hour each, to make sure that the client is kind of going like towards the right direction. They're kind of meeting their goals, things are going okay. And pretty much they'll do that until the end of the program. And then they'll get any resources, tools that they need, like grocery lists or different like material handouts, like recipes or a cookbook. Like we have all that, just pretty much anything that they need to give them support. We're gonna make sure that we do that. And so they're also, if they need more than 2 calls and they need to talk another time, then, we're here to do that as well. And so it makes it easy to be able to help them virtually and give them the time that they need that like we don't have in the clinic to do that. And so that's pretty much how it looks like. So no matter what type of program they go on, that's the one-on-one kind of coaching like approach.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for sharing that in case people want to, replicate that in their own type of nutrition coaching, or if, they just want to learn more. So really, I think, just summarize, there are several different things you can do with nutrition. You could work for Austin. So if people are interested in working for you, Austin, and being one of your nutritionists, do they have to be a registered dietitian? Because I think a lot of people are listening, want to be employed, and a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs and be the employers. And so I want to try to sort of satisfy both aspects here. What's your qualification if people do want to send you their resume?
Yeah, I mean, so
Because you're going to get
like,
some. I know you're going to get some.
yeah, I mean, so like for everyone who's listening, I assume everyone's in kind of the therapy field, right? Yeah, and so like basically all my coaches who are helping any clients are all kind of registered dietitians
Gotcha.
who understand more of the rehab component and what goes on in PT. And so as of now, like that's all I'm kind of promoting, like registered dietitians to do the actual nutrition coaching component. Who knows, maybe down the line things will, like, who knows, maybe change for certain type of clientele, but basically those are the people I'm bringing on to my team. But for any therapist who wants to kind of incorporate some of these models into their business, like we could definitely collaborate and work together on to make this like a win-win
Yeah.
situation for you, for me, for your clients, and pretty much everyone.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. I think for those of you listening, so you can, partner with Austin to help provide nutrition if you don't have a nutrition background. Because I really do feel, and I mean, if you want to do it, great. I am inspiring you. I'm never going to say no. I'm inspiring you. You can do it if you want to do it. But he's already there and he's already a great resource, nutrition. So you can go that aspect. If you are a registered dietitian, you can try to seek out remote employment, potentially from Austin, or you can try to do something similar in your own practice. So, say Austin people did not want to go the route of partnering with you and wanted to provide this in their own clinic on their own. Can you just sort of give me the 3 basic steps that maybe they would take? I'm not going to ask you to go all the behind the scenes, behind the magic that you've already created, trust me. But just quickly share 3 steps if people wanted to do this on their own.
Yeah, so there's many different ways to do this, like many different ways to skin the cat, right? I've seen how other people have done it. I recently talked to a practice owner who's been contacting me because he actually has a dietitian on his team. He's in network and he's like started that. He's trying to figure the model, but he's just having a difficult time like get it rolling. And I don't know. He's like, I'm not sure it's a process or things like that. But he said, I know it'll work if we had the right dietitian like on his team. And he knows I've trained some dietitians under me who kind of understand kind of how to add value, how to provide value, especially PT clients, etc. But that's one model. I was like, oh wow, I never heard of this. And he's like, yeah, me neither. I can't find anything online, like anything about this, right? And so he basically has someone on the team. So if any like therapist or anyone wants to be able to do this, first of all, you got to decide, are you going to be the one fulfilling? If you are, then understand that you're going to have a cap, right? Just like me, I didn't understand at the time. And if it's not you, then you have to understand that, okay, well, who will it be? Like, who will you employ, put on your team? Will it be more of the like gold standard, which some PTs like have come to me, hey, Austin, I want a dietitian to kind of help my clients. I want the gold standard, right? Or would it just be any like health coach or, right, quote unquote nutritionist, someone to just kind of go and do that, but may not necessarily, and it all depends on like your state laws and stuff like that. If you're required to be RD or not to be able to provide nutrition services, right? And so if it's someone, then you have to start looking for that person to provide the service. Then the next thing you would have to do is create a system within your clinic or your business so that you could kind of generate some interest and also some business like for the nutrition side, right? And so you have to have some sort of process to do that. And lastly, I mean, you just have to figure out ways where you could provide value so you could actually like get those clients. And so you would have to kind of hit all those kind of 3 things, which are the most basic. Have someone to actually do the work, fulfill, create some sort of like process for it, and then the actual product, maybe the delivery of it, adding value, that kind of component, figuring out how to actually make business from it. So that'll be kind of my general recommendations for that.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. No, that's very helpful and makes sense. And that's pretty much the business model for any idea that anyone has if you're listening right now. Well, Austin, I think we're going to be wrapping up here. Any final information you want to provide to the Remote Therapy Summit?
Yeah, so I get a lot of questions too on people kind of asking me, more about nutrition or what's kind of my method and methodology and things like that. So I wrote a book. It's called The Winning Wellness Method. Actually, I have it right here. It's
Nice.
#1 bestseller on Amazon. If anyone's kind of curious, like this was made for patients because I started to run out of time to like explain things or hear. I just wanted to create a good resource for them. So it's mainly for them. So if like you have any clients or people that would need help with that, especially during PT and injury, that would be a good resource to kind of look into. You could give it to them as a gift, or you kind of read it for your kind of own knowledge and information. That's a good starting place for people who kind of ask me some of those questions. And yeah, you could look for it on Amazon, Winning Wellness Method. You can check it out. They have the Kindle version and you got the paperback as well. And another thing is, yeah, if you guys wanted some more information or resources to be able to hand out to some of your clients, and basically like I created this for my patients back when I was working in clinic, because I was like, well, I'm just kind of spending too much time saying certain things. It would be easy if I had like a handout, a resource, or an ebook or something to send them. I put up a few resources on my site, nutritionandphysicaltherapy.com. You could go check it out, see what's useful, what your clients could use will be beneficial, and easily just kind of download that to be able to hand it to them. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, and so I have different ways where you could do that. Different things you could send them so they could get them on their own as well. But you could check them out and see, what's helpful for any of your clients.
Great. What was that site again, Austin?
Nutritionandphysicaltherapy.com.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. This is Emma Shapiro and Austin Wynn signing out from the Remote Therapy Summit. If you have any questions, where can they go to reach you, Austin?
You can find me on Facebook or Instagram, Dr. Austin Wynn. You can just kind of follow me on Instagram and shoot me a message if you want to chat there, or send me a friend request on Facebook.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, Austin. And thank you so much for listening. If you are tuning in, please check out our other amazing summit recordings that we have going on. We've got things on telehealth. We've got things on e-commerce. We've got things on pretty much everything you can cover, running your own courses, apps, health coaching, the whole shebang. So check out the remotetherapysummit.com. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Awesome.